So guys, the first shelf here, as you can see there, my very crude marker card to let me know where action and adventure starts. And we've got the first four Jack Ryan movies. The Hunt for Red October, my least favourite. Patriot Games, probably my favourite. Clear and Present Danger, and then the Ben Affleck sort of semi-reboot, The Sum of All Fears. Didn't mind that. Fire Trap. It's got Dean Cain in it. When I was a young lad, I used to like the Adventures of Lois and Clark, whatever the Superman show was, where he was Superman, and saw that he was in that. And this is long, I was a really young kid when I picked this one up, and I got my dad to pick it up for me. And it was long before I realised that like B movies were such a thing. That's it. It's not a great film, but there you go. Got the A-Team, Devil's Double, Lawless, G.I. Jane, Ladder 49. The Accountant, that's a great one, is that? Ben Affleck, that one. Infernal Affairs, so that's the original, I believe it's Chinese film, that Martin Scorsese based The Departed on. I haven't watched that yet, but The Departed is one of my favourite films. It's in my top 5 films of all time. And I saw that in HMV recently and thought, must pick that up. Desperate Measures, that's a great one, is that? Michael Keaton playing a villainous role for once. The Mummy movies, so you've got The Mummy 3, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, I wish they hadn't bothered. And then you've got The Mummy Returns, and The Scorpion King. Like the first two Mummy movies, wasn't bothered for The Scorpion King. I've then got The Mummy Returns on the Superbit DVD. I really just bought that as a collector's piece more than anything. Dave over at Cinema Sickness obviously collects just about any movie format that you can sort of get your hands on. And he talked about Superbit DVDs, and then I saw that in a charity shop and thought, for £1 I'll pick it up just purely for, like I say, collecting purposes more than anything else. Heist, The Bank Job, love that one. The Defender, Baby Driver, what a great film. It's such a shame that obviously actors involved in that are really dodgy characters, shall we say, in real life. It sort of takes the enjoyment out of it a little bit. But Edgar Wright, brilliant writer and director, and in spite of its cast, a great film. Edge of Darkness, basic. Red 2, Snakes on a Plane. Ransom, Sherlock Holmes 1 and 2, Legend of Zorro, Mask of Zorro, they're the wrong way round, Mark of Zorro, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Death Wish, the Bruce Willis remake, didn't mind it, but it didn't live up to the original series, which is in the box set next. That's an import from Europe, and it wasn't readily available here in the UK at the time. It's since had a few releases. I'm not too sure whether that's a censored version or an uncensored version. I never really looked into it, but I know that some of the UK versions that have come out have been sort of censored. Zero Dark 30 got a lot of hype. I just thought it was okay. Leon the Professional. The remake of Miami Vice, Lock, Stock in one of those sort of tall CD jewel cases, Upgrade, Welcome to the Jungle, and Will Smith's Gemini Man. So that's the first shelf. So here we've got a box set. So Sahara's the reason that it's there, but in the box set there's also Frailty and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. It's by the looks of it, a Matthew McConaughey box set. Sahara's not a bad sort of action adventure one. It's a Clive Cussler one, isn't it, with the Dirk Pitt character. Frailty, not a bad little thriller. If it was separate, I'd obviously have it up top with the thrillers. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, not mad on it. American Assassin, Drop Zone, The International, Murder at 1600. Read an article about that while I was in Spain a couple of years ago and thought, I've not seen that, fancied picking it up. So it was a bit of an impulse buy on Amazon. End of Watch, brilliant film. That's the guy who did Suicide Squad, and that's a much better film than Suicide Squad. Den of Thieves, 21 Bridges. Now I've got that to watch soon. I've not watched that yet. And very, very keen to watch it now, obviously with the recent news that poor Chadwick Boseman's passed away. Man of Fire, American Gangster. If we come up to the top there, we've got then The French Connection and the sequel, The Italian Job and the 2003 remake. Defiance, Broken City, Midnight Run. What a great film that is. Vantage Point, that was okay. It tried to be cleverer than it was. Jet Li and Jason Statham in War. Didn't mind that one, but not amazing. The Cruel Deep, Hard Rain. Me and Laura watched Hard Rain in our sort of period of self-isolation at the beginning of the pandemic. And we just decided one day that we were going to have a random movie marathon and each pick films off the shelf that we'd either not seen in the longest time or not seen at all, and just have a random no-theme marathon. And we watched Hard Rain as part of it, and boy was it. Let's have a look. Speaking of shite, we've got Jewel of the Nile, but then the fantastic first film in the series, Romancing the Stone. Sorry, I know there's some apologies out there for that. I was really disappointed. I watched Romancing the Stone quite a few times growing up, and then Dad finally tracked down Jewel of the Nile for us to watch when we used to have to tape things off the TV back in the day, for those who remember taping things off the TV onto VHS. And I remember sitting down to watch it and thinking, what on earth is this? And just really thinking it was a poor sort of thing, and a poor follow-up, but there we go. Guardians of the Tomb. I picked that up purely because it's got Kelsey Grammer in it, and I'm a Kelsey Grammer fan. The Librarian trilogy, again a European import. Alan Quatermain and the City of Lost Gold, and King Solomon's Mines. We watched one of those when we did the random movie marathon, funnily enough. I think it was King Solomon's Mines. And I just remember it being a bit of a hybrid of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like the first 3/4 of it were pretty much sort of beat for beat Raiders, and then when they got to where they were going for the climax in the, like I said, the last quarter of the film, the third act maybe, it sort of felt more like Temple. Obviously, it's based on the Alan Quatermain stories. Were they H.G. Wells? But these were made in the wake of the first couple of indie films coming out, and you really can tell. A box set there: Shooter, Peacemaker, and Four Brothers. Bought that for Peacemaker. Really enjoyed that once when I caught it on the TV. But the other two films are great in it as well. Let's have a look. So we've got Changing Lanes, and then The Negotiator. I really liked The Negotiator. If we come back over here, oh, there's my hand. We've got Everest. Probably could be in drama, that, to be fair, but like I say, with some of these, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The Assassin, How I Live Now, War Dogs. What a great film War Dogs is. 999, not a bad one. Poseidon Adventure, the original one from the 70s. Book of Eli, possibly one of the worst films ever made. Speed 2, what were they thinking? Code of Silence, that's a Chuck Norris one. Old Boy, the 98 Godzilla. I'm probably about to lose a lot of respect here from a lot of people, but I don't mind it. Actually quite enjoy it as a bit of popcorn fun. And then the Shin Godzilla. I believe that's a remake of the 54 original Godzilla, isn't it? I've not watched it yet, but 300, the remake of Clash of the Titans with Sam Worthington. Money Train, The Art of War, Hurricane Heist. What a dire film that was. Fool's Gold, Into the Blue. Love both of them. Love the sort of treasure hunting sort of. I suppose they're not Indiana Jones like, but they're sort of, we've got a map, we've got an idea that there's some treasure here, that sort of thing. Love that sort of style of film. Unleashed, White House Down, the Has Fallen trilogy, Olympus, London, and Angel. Loved the first two. Thought the third one was okay, but it took a bit of a diving quality, really. The Avengers, not to be confused with the Marvel superpower that's going on at the moment, but that is the 1990s remake of the 60s sort of espionage spy show, starring in this one Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman. I believe it does have a cameo from Patrick Macnee, who played the character Steed that Ralph Fiennes plays in this one. The director's cuts of Lethal Weapon. So I've kept the DVDs because when I do get to going through the Blu-rays, you'll see I have Lethal Weapon on Blu-ray, but it's the theatrical cuts. Now for the 3 and 4, I'm not bothered which cut I watch, but for the first two, I much prefer the director's cuts for Lethal Weapon. Towering Inferno. Love that film. Raise the Titanic. Now, it's a poor film, is that, really? But I really, really enjoy it. There's just something I've always found fascinating about the Titanic wreck. I really enjoyed the Cameron film. I watch any documentary about the Titanic. Loved Cameron's documentary, in particular, Ghosts to the Abyss. But I always found this concept of them raising it fascinating. Obviously, in real life, the ship's in multiple pieces, and then there's all the moral and ethical bits behind it. And I don't think in real life it should be raised. But obviously, it's a great sort of bit of escapist fun. Again, it's one of the Dirk Pitt ones by Clive Cussler, obviously not starring Matthew McConaughey this time, but it's an adaptation of that work. Final Score. Now, I absolutely loved that one. It's a straight-to-DVD job with Pierce Brosnan and Dave Bautista. And it's more or less beat for beat. What's it called now? Sudden Death with Van Damme. They're in a sporting stadium. There's some bad guys. There's the one good guy. It's sort of the Die Hard in a insert your location here sort of thing. Turbulence. That was a cracking film. Was that? Ray Liotta's a convict that's been transported on a passenger airline. One thing leads to another, and it ends up being a bit of a showdown between him and the stewardess, played by Lauren Holly, who folks might remember was the sort of the love interest in Dumb and Dumber. Two Men in Town. I believe that's got Harvey Keitel in it, and that's why I picked that up. It was one that my dad fancied when he was still with us. And so I picked it up for him and thought, it looks alright, so I picked up a copy myself. Dragged Across Concrete, and it's one that I've not watched yet, but I'm looking forward to. Backdraft, No Escape. Loved that one. I've said before, Pierce Brosnan is probably my least favourite Bond, maybe second least favourite Bond. Please don't shoot me. But I really love some of the stuff that he's done since. Some Liam Neeson ones, Non-Stop, that's not a bad one, Set on a Plane Again. Cold Pursuit, not watched that yet. Commuter, didn't mind that, had its moments. Train to Hell, not too sure why that's in there with the Liam Neeson ones, but not to worry. The Taken trilogy. And you know what, they're pretty good films, to be fair. I think number one's great, number two's really silly, and they should have tried harder, but then number three sort of brings it back in again. To be fair, if they'd have done it, I think they should have done number one, and then the storyline for number three would have made a passable sequel, but the story for number two does get a bit silly. Down on the floor again, guys, the uncomfortable position. 15 minutes with Robert De Niro. Not amazing, but not a bad watch. Die Hard 4, that's the unrated cut, which is why I've kept the DVD, because my Blu-ray has the theatrical cut. Big Trouble in Little China, a box set with A Mighty Heart, Munich and Babel. Braveheart, shame I've not picked that up on Blu-ray yet, it's one that deserves it. Roadhouse, Narc, Last Boy Scout, love that one. Hostage, not bad. Vertical Limit. Deep Cover, Ordinary Decent Criminal, the remake of The Sweeney, that needs to go. That's crap, is that? Conspiracy Theory, Savages, Boiling Point, the Da Vinci Code trilogy so far, Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and Inferno. And then we've got The Contract, The Island, The Deep. I think, is it 101 Films are bringing out like a fancy edition of that, and I keep thinking to myself, do I want to get it? But then I think, it's probably 5 years or more since I've put the DVD in. I only watch it once in a blue moon, and do I really need to go and spend 20 quid on the upgrade to then not watch it for another 5 years after I've watched it? So, I mean, that's probably a lot of the reason I hang on to DVDs, to be fair, because there's a lot of times when, you just want to see a film, but you're not bothered about sort of, spending loads of money on collector's editions. I don't know, it's a weird thing in that. Death Sentence, Broken Arrow, The Long Kiss Goodnight, love that one. Another 48 Hours, have the first one on Blu-ray. Welcome to the Punch, the remake of Pelham 123, Man in the Iron Mask, and Days of Thunder. Again, toyed with getting the premium collection version of that, but held fire because it must be years since I've watched it, and it's a once in a blue moon watch, is that. So we got the G.I. Joe movies 1 and 2 there. King of Thieves, about the Hatton Bank job. Mechanic and the Mechanic Resurrection, the Jason Statham ones. I believe they're inspired by the Bronson one from the 70s. We've got the Transporter and the Marine in a double pack, and then Transporter 2 and 3. I'm not sure, but I think I've got they did like a reboot remake of the Transporter, like Transporter 4 or a prequel or something. I think I've got that on Blue. Unstoppable, one of Laura's favourite action films, don't mind it. Air America, San Andreas, the Disney Three Musketeers with Charlie Sheen and co. King Kong, the Peter Jackson one, Two Guns. All three Tomb Raider films there, the Angelina Jolie double bill, and then the recent effort. I didn't mind the recent one, but tell me if I'm wrong, guys. The third act is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, isn't it? Just something to think on there. It was one of them where I watched it with my friend, and I'm like, I was really, really enjoying this, and I still did enjoy it, but I'm like, they've just done indie. Last Samurai, Beowulf, contractor in The Last Line of Defence, Showtime. So that's where the action ones sort of end. But then if you remember, I said that I had a section of films that didn't quite fit in another shelf, but fit perfectly here. And these are, to the best of my knowledge, all my Jean-Claude Van Damme DVDs. I've got one on Blu-ray, and that's Sudden Death. So I've got a box set there, and then I've got Knockoff, Pound of Flesh, The Order, AWOL, and I think that's the one, is it also known as Lionheart in some countries? And then let's have a look here. So we've got Into the Sun, Black Eagle, Universal Soldier, brilliant, Desert Heat, Kickboxer, Replicant, I love that one, Double Team, Double Impact is my favourite Van Damme film by far, Legionnaire, not a bad one at all, not a bad one, Cyborg, Hard Target, Time Cop, Nowhere to Run, The Quest. I need to get that one flogged, actually. I recently bought in an HMV sale because it was reduced to a £5, the 101 Films reissue of that. And then the final one is Street Fighter, which I believe was Raul Julia's last film performance. But there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is my action adventure / a bit of everything section of the DVDs there. I do hope you've enjoyed the video on my ramblings. I've tried to talk a bit more about my thoughts on some of the films that I've gone, so I'll make it a bit more interesting. You'll have to leave a comment down below with your thoughts and feelings on how I'm doing these as I go. I did get a comment asking about when I'm going to do the comedy section, and I will get to that soon. I'm just trying to do this in sort of shelf order and work down each shelf. So actually, when I come to think of it, the next shelf that'll come on will be the comedy one, so that'll come next. So we'll have a look at that for you real soon. Folks, if you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Leave the video a like. Leave me a comment with what you liked about the video or anything that you want to discuss. I'm always up for a chat. I really appreciate your support as always, guys. I will try so hard not to leave it as long before the next video. I know I shouldn't keep making excuses, but life is just a bit hectic right now. I'm really enjoying doing this for you guys. I'm finding it really sort of to be a really good sort of therapeutic and creative outlet, and I'm really enjoying being a part of this whole YouTubing community. And look forward to staying around for years to come. So take care of yourselves, continue to stay safe and well, and I will see you next time. Take care.